and one hopes it was practicality that drove them to have the asylum seekers wear these wristbands. But I think we should go back a step. I mean, notwithstanding anybody was wearing a wristband, or when we looked at what was happening in Middlesbrough, a similar type case, slightly different situation though, the idea that if you're wearing a wristband or if your door is painted a particular colour, that should invite abuse, hatred, is utterly abhorrent. And if we consider the history of our country, our grandparents fought against the kind of ideology in the 1930s that suggested it was OK to other people, that it was OK to scapegoat different groups of people in our society. They fought and died for that. And yet some people think, a minority, mind you, that is justified in 2016. That is an utter disgrace. So we've got to send out a very clear message that however people are identified, the fact that they're an asylum seeker seeking refuge in our country does not justify the kind of abuse that they've received. And anybody watching this programme who's dishing out that kind of thing to people, they need to know that is terribly, terribly un-British.
So you're more concerned about the public reaction to the wristbands than actually the company that came up with the wristbands in the first place?
It's a minority, and we've got to send a clear message to that minority, and I think we should celebrate the fact that when these things have come to light, wristbands are the latest, there has been a huge well of concern for what's been happening, because we don't think that's what we're about as a country. But you have to ask the question, and I sit on the Home Affairs Select Committee. We'll be taking evidence from G4S and Jomas, that were the company involved in the alleged painting of people's doors, the red doors last week. We'll be taking evidence from them tomorrow afternoon. But you have to ask the question, the Home Office are the ones who put out these contracts. What are they doing to monitor the way that these contracts are implemented?
Is this a problem when you outsource sensitive areas of policy to private companies who aren't necessarily thinking about the political and the ethical ramifications?
Well, I think there's definitely an issue here, that where is the oversight of this? But I think there's a bigger issue too, actually. I think from the point of view of the asylum seekers, and you read the testimony of them in The Guardian, I think, unveiled this latest story, what they want to do is they want to feel part of our community. They want to integrate. And, having somebody wear a wristband, which, enables people to single them out, hardly helps them integrate. And let's be honest about it. These issues of people claiming asylum, refugees, get intermingled with the general issues of migration and immigration, which have become such a toxic debate, unfortunately, in our country. Now, I think the way we detoxify that is ensuring that when people do come here, that they are able and assisted to integrate into society, because it's through knowing each other that you break down those barriers, you break down the prejudice that sometimes there is in society, even in 2016.
On the subject of refugees, I wanted to ask you about the calls this weekend for Britain to admit 3,000 unaccompanied child refugees. How does that work in practical terms? Because the support systems need to be there, don't they? And there are councils that are saying, we just cannot cope.
Well, I think there are real issues of capacity. I think absolutely we should do everything that we can to accommodate particularly the children. But I think ultimately what this illustrates is, first of all, we need an overall EU framework. There was an agreement whereby various different countries were going to take refugees, and there was a quota for each of the countries. We didn't fall within the quota system, but that was supposed to oversee thousands of refugees coming to Europe. And, it simply hasn't worked thus far, and we can only deal with this on a cross-border level, and we need to make that EU framework work. Secondly, there needs to be a deal done with Turkey, and there are ongoing issues there. I think the EU is providing £2.2 billion worth of support to Turkey to deal with the refugees coming through their borders. They say that's not enough, but there has to be an agreement reached.
Chuka, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.